Not enough people look back on what they did and identify where they made a mistake. And some people will do it when they lose, but the true professionals do it when they win. When my dad was playing a chess game, if he won the game, he would still analyze the game and see if he could have lost, where it could have gone wrong, how he could have won faster, what mistakes he did make, what he did well, what he did wrong, win or lose. So many people will sit in a scenario where everything went wrong and go, in fact, correction, not so many people. I would say 75% of people will not ever self-analyze the situation they're in, they'll blame everyone else. I'm taking absolute self-accountability for everything. I'm not blaming anything else, because if I blame everything else, I have no control. If I blame myself, then I can influence it, I have control over it. So 75% of people blame other people or they blame other things. I lost my business because of COVID. No, you lost your business because of you. I lost my girl because her friends were hoes. No, you lost your girl because of you. You lost your car because of you, and it's all your fault, because that's the only thing that gives you control and power. The other 10%, we said 75, that's 85, now it has to be much higher. Let's say the other 20%, which brings up to 95% of total of the populace, will look at a situation in which they lose and they might self-analyze and they might try and learn from the loss, and they'll try and find the feedback involved in the loss to make sure they don't lose again, which is obviously better than not analyzing at all. And the top 5%, the absolute highest echelon, are people who are going to analyze every decision they've ever made, win or lose. I analyze my wins as well.
See where you went right.
See where I went right, see where I went wrong, see where it worked. You need to analyze your whole life. Your life needs to be feedback. You need to sit and it's over 10% into the year now. I wonder if anyone who made a New Year's resolution sits and says, it's over 10% into the year. Am I at 10% of my goal? Because your stupid ass said you were going to be a millionaire when you were drunk on New Year's Eve. Well, you need to have 100 grand saved. Do you have 100,000? Have you even done the feedback on your own goal you made 30 short days ago to realize that you're nowhere near it and you're not going to make it and you're a loser? No. Oh, I got the rest of the year. And then wonder why they fail. You should have a daily target.
And then it's just a full-on cycle for them, yearly.
Of course.
Going to be a millionaire next year. And
then they just lie. Yeah. So you need to constantly feedback and analyze your life and take time out of scenarios. I do this all the time. There's been times I've got up out of bed and I've got ready and I've got my keys and I've got my phone and I've stroked my dog and I've had my coffee. I downed it quickly and it was just the right temperature, so it wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. And I got in my car, which had already been started in my Ferrari by my security team, and it was already warm. And I got in and I was out the door. I was like, I'll go out the door in 6 minutes. That's like 2 minutes faster than normal. Yeah, that was good. What did I do good? The coffee. The coffee wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. Usually it's too hot and I have to wait. Or it's too cold and I want another one. The coffee was just the right temperature. When was it made? And I'll check the message where I sent them to make me a coffee. And it sounds crazy, but I'll analyze how I left the fucking house while I'm driving. I'll be like, that was fast. That was good.
How can we do that again?
I want to do that next time.
If you think back to all the negative situations you had, like the really, really bad ones, when you expand the time horizon, most times they become net wins. And so then it just means that, like, if you're in a really tough time right now, you just gotta wait. and then you'll get your reference point back on all the things that changed as a result, because most times when shit is bad, it can't get worse. So then you feel like, well, it can't get worse than this. And then your action threshold decreases and you do all the things you know you should have done anyways. And so it's like we have this big stack of should do's and we just wait until it's 2 miles.
Yep.
And then I'm getting
in the car.
Like the firing conversation. And you're like, well, I just fired one person, or like I just ended one partnership, I just broke up with one girl, or whatever it is. And you're like, who else do I need to talk to today? Really? Like, and then in like a period, like you have these rapid periods of growth that happen, and then you have the next web of comfort because it's way better than you were before.
Yep.
And I think I wonder, this is more just like an open thought, but like I wonder how long like more successful people stay in that next plateau. Like I wonder if their threshold for
action stays low.
Yeah, they're I'm getting comfortable, like how quickly they get comfortable into like, I need to change, I need to get better.
I think people know what to do and they don't do it. I think many people lie to themselves. They know what truth is and they avoid it. They know what good is and they avoid it. We live in a world where there's people that do not want to be held accountable to this idea of there being an absolute truth, right? Everything is good, everything is bad. But, there's things that we can all unanimously agree to that are bad. If you go out and rape a woman, it's bad. Unanimously. Yeah, some cultures may accept it, doesn't mean it's good. So what is it? What is that moral trigger inside of us that tells us that that action is bad?
Why are unmade decisions so heavy?
I think, at least for me, it's because I have this hamster wheel on the back of my mind where I keep playing out different scenarios. And so I keep thinking like, well, maybe I need to change what I'm currently doing. Maybe if I just rethought, like, cause I'm a big frame guy. So I'm like, maybe I just need to be thinking about this differently, right? Or maybe if I zoom all the way out, the earth doesn't exist. So maybe this doesn't matter. Or maybe I'm just making a problem that doesn't exist. Maybe the best action I should take is nothing, right? Like I reframe all those things. But usually it's just because I'm afraid of something. And then that's why I'm not making the decision. And I think once I name and put a face, and it's usually not even a thing that I'm afraid of, it's one person's judgment I'm afraid of. And then when I name the person, then it becomes real. Instead of being this amorphous, like people, society, judgment, it's like Tom. Like, do I really care what Tom thinks? I guess so. It seems like I'm not making this big change in my life because of Tom.
Looks like Tom's more in control of my life than I am.
Dude. So I remember this. When I was 19 years old, I was super angry, like all 19-year-old men, right? That's the standard default, right? I was angry at both my parents because I was 19, right? And I remember blaming them for everything, blaming them for my life, blaming them for not being a better person. I literally blamed them for being a bad person. And I remember realizing that when I blamed them, that I gave them control over my life. And then the idea that the people that I hated the most at the time were the ones who actually were controlling me was the thing that most sickened me, to then actually flip my narrative to actually taking control. Like, that was the one thought process. Like, my mother, I'm giving her control over my romantic relationship. Like, my mother controls this? Fuck that. I was like, no. And so, like, just the idea that somebody who I was disgusted by at the time had that much power is what gave me the power to start taking action.
So a couple years ago, I had a conversation with God. I believe it to be a genuine conversation, and I was reading. Have you read the Bible by chance? I recommend you read it.
Everybody's saying I should do that.
Okay, then so maybe that's God telling me to read it. So there's this. Have you heard of King David? You've heard of the Star of David. So King David has a son. His name's Solomon. There's a story in the Bible where Solomon is dreaming. He goes into dream state, and God comes to him in dream state, and God says to Solomon, anything that you want, I will give you. If you want wealth, I'll give you wealth. I'll make you the richest man. If you want kingdoms, I'll give you the kingdoms. Tell me whatever it is that you want, and I'll give it to you. And Solomon didn't ask for riches, didn't ask for kingdoms. He asked for one thing. He said, give me wisdom. And God gave him wisdom. And after that, the riches came, the kingdoms came, and every other thing that comes with it. So as I read that, I sat there and I was like, God, give me wisdom. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what this means, but give me wisdom and allow me to be a person that makes decisions not out of spontaneity, not out of reactiveness or out of emotion, but out of a state of mind in which I can be wise. And from that, everything else will come. So my relationship with God is now a pursuit of truth and a pursuit of wisdom. And I think it's working.